Hi, I'm Margaret Lewin and welcome to Margaret Lewin Quilting. Today we're going to start a brand new project and this is my needle keeper. If I turn it over and open it up, you'll be able to see I have all of my different embroidery needles inside of here. And this is where I store them so that if I want to take this project or any embroidery project with me, I just need to grab this, I fold it in half, and then in half again, and I have this neat little booklet that holds all of my needles. I'll turn it around so that you can really see it. I'll see the other side. So what we're going to be learning first is how we go about putting the wool pieces. These are little wool circles. I'll show them to you. Little wool circles. And I'm going to show you first how I go about putting them down attaching them down to the wool, and then once I've done that I will show you the different embellishment stitches that I've done. And you may make it your own, do any kind of stitching you want to on it, that's completely up to you, but I'm going to show you how I went about making mine. Now when you get your wool project, one of the things that you will notice is that you're going to get one big piece of the white or off-white wool. Your pieces are approximately 18 by 12 inches. Those are a little bit bigger than what you need. What I'd like you to do is cut your piece down so that it is about 10.5 by 16. All right. Once you get it to be about 10.5 by 16, you're going to take about 5.5 inches off the top. Now, if you want to make it a little bigger, if you want to make it the full 18, what you're going to be doing really is just basically folding it into thirds to take your top piece off. So what's going to happen is when we get all done, this piece, the bigger piece, is going to get folded in half, and then this piece is going to be stitched right over the top so that you're unable to see all of my stitches on the back side. You can see here already I've gone ahead and I've done one circle, and we're going to work on another one today. These little pins that I have in here that I'm using are actually Clover's glass head pins. They are about 1.5 inches long, and I really like them for my wool. The reason why I like them is because they are so fine that they just sit very nicely inside the wool. Once you get your wool piece cut, the next thing that you're going to do is take your smaller colorful pieces of wool and you're going to cut circles that are approximately 1.25 inches. See if you can find a bottle cap or anything like that to draw around, form your circle so that you know what it is that where you're going to be cutting. Now there's nothing that says that these have to be circular. They can be rectangles, they can be squares, they can be anything you want. In fact, one of the ones I make next, I really want to do in rectangles because I think it would be really cool to have the strips going across that are in rectangle shapes. So once you get those done, what you're going to be doing is laying them out. Now you can see that I have a greater space here in the center. And the reason I do is because the center of my book, I wanted more space in there so that I could fold it in half and there wouldn't be any stitches here on the spine of it. You make your choice. You can do stitches there. You can leave it blank. It's completely up to you. I did space them about 1 inch in, about 1 inch between each other, from both sides. So there's a little guidance for you on the spacing. Again, remember, this is your project, so you can do anything you want to with it. For needles, I am right now using, I'll get it for you so that you can see it. You can see I've got a little piece of washi tape on mine so that I know it's mine, it's the one I'm using. These are Jenna Kimball from Foxglove Cottage needles, and I like the embroidery redwork size 9 for putting down my wool work. Okay, I have threaded a piece of wool thread And you're going to notice that it's a little bit fuzzy. It is true wool. So this is how I go about getting started. I'm just going to take my piece, put my thumb or my middle finger on the piece that I want to applique down first. I'm just going to flip it over, and here we start stitching. The first thing I'm going to do is through the fabric I can feel the edge. So I'm going to take and I'm just going to gather up underneath my needle some of my white wool. I haven't gone all the way through to the other side, you can see. And I'm just going to pull that through, and I'm going to stop when I've just got this little tail. My tail's maybe 1/16 of an inch. Then I'm going to cross it. I was always taught not to put knots in my wool work or my embroidery work. I was always taught that you tie it down to start with this way, and you tie it down to end this way. Then you never have a knot underneath your work. So I've gone over to one side, and now I'm just going to go back the other way. That's it. I have done my secure knot at the bottom, and you're not going to pull that out. If you do, you're going to rip a hole in your wool. The next thing I'm going to do is I can feel with my finger right where the edge of that wool is. So I'm just going to poke my needle through right close to the edge. Now we start the fun part. We start actually stitching it down. So I'm bringing my needle up, as you can see. I'm going to back this needle out a little bit, and now I'm going to start stitching. I take the point of my needle and it goes down right next to my wool thread, and what I'm doing is going back down where I came up, taking my needle, you can see it's right about here. Can you see it pop through? I'm going to take it underneath the white wool, then I'm going to bring it up right on the edge of my pink. Now I'm not taking a very big stitch, but that's what I'm doing. And I'm going to pull it through gently. There's my very first stitch. The next thing I'm going to do is keep doing that all the way around, but I want to try to show you how I do it from a side view. I take the tip of my needle and I go down underneath kind of that piece of wool right about where I came up, and I poke it through. I push it forward just a little teeny bit, and then I come right back up again straight on the edge of my wool work. Right? Then I pull it through. What ends up happening with that is my thread itself just kind of loops itself underneath my wool piece, and then it comes back up. So here I go again. I'm going to take my needle down, and it's right at the same angle as my thread coming up. I'm going to go down into the white, bring it up at the very edge of the pink, and then pull it through. And that's all there is to it. What you're going to do while you're stitching, you're going to get all of your little circles stitched down, and then once you get your little circles stitched down, we're going to start working on all different types of embroidery stitches. And some will be that we've got in a book, and other ones will just be ones that I'll teach you. Whenever there's a book that I can reference for it, I absolutely will, and we'll have them available on the website. And as always, you will have this video available to go back and reference whenever you need it. But see how easy this is? It's just a nice, patient, it's just a nice little stitch. Whoops, I came unthreaded. That wasn't fun. So I'm just going to thread it right back up again. Sometimes I thread it by taking it, folding it in half, and then just bringing the eye of the needle, pinching between my fingers, and just pull it right through. You see, it just came right through. Right? I would not suggest carrying your threads from one circle to the next, I do suggest that you stop, you end your wool thread, and then you pick up another color. The whole reason why you're using a matching color, got my pin stuck in there, is you want to kind of distinguish, hide the fact that you've actually stitched it down with something. And this wool thread is so nice because it just very, very easily disappears through your piece. And that's all there is to it. Now you're going to do that to all of your pieces. And once you've got that done, then you are ready to start really embellishing. We don't have to worry about the edges of the wool fraying. This wool will not fray on us. And that's all there is to it. Just real simple. One of the nicest things about wool projects is the fact that I can take my pin out now, that you don't have to worry about the edges fraying, that it's an extremely portable project to take with you. To me, this can be better than even knitting or crocheting because it's really tiny and the supplies that we need to do this type of project are very minimal, unless you get like me and you get so thread crazy that you've got boxes and boxes of different embellishment threads, which if you get to that point, I will completely understand, because that is something that I do have. So here we go. You can see I'm more than halfway around, and this really has not taken me much time at all. Another thing that you'll notice is that I am using a thimble. I've used a thimble for years. When I first started hand stitching, I wasn't using one and it felt really uncomfortable. But I found that I was leaving indentations in my fingers, so I figured it was time I learned how to use a thimble. So I just left it on my finger every time I was working and on a project, and it wasn't long and it became really second nature for it to be there. And if you watch what I do, I take my needle straight down, I push it forward, and then I'm actually using the side of my thimble and the pressure of my thumb to push it through. So I no longer am actually stabbing myself, which is a good thing. I want to get to the end because I want to show you how to tie off your pieces. I'm almost there. I'm getting there. And then once you know how to do that, you'll be able to finish all of your circles. And then next time we get together, we will work on one of our first stitches. And I'm back to my beginning. All right. So I'm all the way back to point 1. I'm going to take my needle, I'm going to stick it right back down through, and I'm going a little bit at an angle underneath my pink dot, my pink circle. And then I'll flip it over. Whoop, I did catch a little piece of wool in there. I thought I did. I'm just going to push it back. There we go. And I'm going to end it the same way I started it. I'm going to take my thread, I'll turn it this way. I'm going to push my needle through just the pink. All right. I'm going to take 1 stitch, 2 stitches, and then I'm just going to snip my thread. And I can even snip it closer than that. There we go. So there are my first 2 pink ones. I think I will probably work on with this darker blue, pink or purple blue wisteria. No, it's not wisteria. This darker color. Get those down and then I'll move on to the next. So get your needles out and get stitching. Thank you so much for joining me today. And if you have any questions or need help, or if you don't feel as if I showed you my stitch close enough, please do let me know. This is the first time that I've ever stitched handwork on camera before. So this is something that's brand new to me too. And I want to make sure that you can see my stitches, because once we get doing these, it's going to be really important that you can see how I do them. So if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave a message below, and I will make sure I answer them. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you again really soon. Bye.